Oh, you hit it's recording.
Okay, so cool. All right. Recording already started, maybe.
Yeah, well, you press the recording button. Yeah. So we're good.
Okay. We're good to go.
We're good to go? Frank, are you good to go?
Am I good to go?
Yeah. Oh. Why don't you come up here? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe before Frank is coming here, I'm switching over to English now, since we have famous people here from abroad. So I would tell to someone when I talk to my wife, the people from Home Assistant, the founder from Home Assistants are coming to Iceland. She was not very excited, so I was trying to explain to her. So imagine that you meet the guys from YouTube. No, this is basically the same for me. So this was, and then okay, yeah, that's cool. So I'm very lucky that you reach out, that you're coming here, and that you're of course visiting Iceland for several purposes, and that you give us some time to meet the guys here that are using your stuff.
Very excited.
I think so. Of course, I started maybe probably using Home Assistant maybe 6-7 years ago. I don't remember. This was basically back in the time when I tried to find a solution to control my home. I tried several stuff, and Home Assistant was basically the only software that was easy to use or was not as crappy as the other stuff that I tried, like OpenHub or whatever. It was not the easiest way, but it was easier than the other stuff, and it was really amazing. And I think the journey that I started back in the days and until now, I'm really pleased with the software, and it's making sometimes it's making my life so much easier and happier and fancier. But sometimes it also makes it really, and then the things. It's not related to the software, but you have been all on the place, right? That your temperature sensor is not reaching Home Assistant anymore, and then all your floor rating is down, and you have the computer at your summer house, and then electricity goes off, and then everything goes off, and so you're a little bit independent and try to things. It's. I spend a lot of time fixing things that I maybe should not do fixing. But this is another story.
It's very easy to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also told them. I mean, we have. I'm also very glad that Radman is offering that room here, that you could all be here. We have drinks and food, so this is all good. And we got this location here. I also mentioned earlier that I have been starting teaching Home Assistant now 1 year ago. So we have two courses. We're offering 2 cases, a basic one and an advanced one. And when I always do the course for the advanced Home Assistant stuff, I always say Home Assistant. Usually I start with telling people what kind of home systems are available and where I would position Home Assistant in these things. And I always say Home Assistant is very complicated. It's very complicated for even for technicians, and it's too complicated for non-technicians. That's at least my take on it. So even though if you are technical, advanced, it's still complicated, and you need to do. You need to have passion for it. You need to be, spend a lot of time at it. Probably, I'm not sure how many hundreds or even thousands of hours I spent into Home Assistant to get it work and to make it better and such.
Great sales page.
Yeah. I just try to level expectations. It's like, if people want to do some easy stuff, then they should never go to Home Assistant. But when people come to me, they always, and I always tell people, okay, when you do something easy stuff, you go to Philips or whatever stuff. But I tell you right away, when you do these kind of things, these are ISO solutions, and you can do certain things, and maybe very easy. But if you want to get it advanced and do other things, then you are trapped. And this is the thing that I like with Home Assistant and all the other systems that I tried. With all the other systems, sooner or later I always got to dead end where I did not get further. And this was something that I always hated. And the other thing that bothered me also is that you're always trapped in the thing that you always need to buy kind of hardware that is only fitting to the software that they are providing. So Home Assistant really gives you this freedom, to do whatever you want, to use whatever hardware you would like, and to do whatever you think you need a solution for between Earth and the sky. So there's basically not even the sky is a limit. So you basically can do whatever you want, and that's what I really like about this software.
I mean, we integrate the International Space Center, so sky is definitely not the limit.
Yeah. So and a very short introduction from me and why we are here. They reached out, and I think we are all agree that we are very happy to see you all here. I don't want to have it very much like there's not really an agenda. I wanted to give, of course, Paulus. He's always giving presentations, and they told me he can talk a lot. So if you want to chime in, so just tell him to. And I also told him that from my perspective, I would really like to explore, since he's here, because to explore a bit or talk about the possibilities that we have to make Home Assistant work with the Icelandic language. This was always on my topic to do. I haven't really got any further. I think we need to do a lot of work, not only me, but hopefully we can come to a place or to a stage where we can work on this together and to make it work. So this was one of my main focus. And I also have a lot of questions, but I also wanted, of course, to keep it to you and offering you to keep questions. There's one. I also asked. There's one who you wanted to give also a presentation about what you have done with Home Assistant. So I think it's really great that they also see that what we have done with Home Assistant. And you can also ask them, of course, what you would like to see, or what solutions, what kind of questions. So this is why we're here. So yeah.
Do it.
So maybe you just also introduce yourself and why you're here and how you get into this madness.
Great. Yeah. So. Well, first of all, Frank, why don't you come forward as well? We're going to do a dual presentation that neither of us have prepared, though, because
I didn't even know until 10 minutes.
Yeah, but it's great because I think it's always better to do. We do these release parties every month where we just go on YouTube, talk stuff, so we can do this live, basically. But yeah, let's start at the very beginning. Just my name is Paulus Schoutse. I'm the founder of Home Assistant. It's been 11 and a half years ago. I started it. I started actually because I got the Philips Hue lights and they had a local API. I got them into Home Assistant. Got them into a script that later kind of morphed into a Home Assistant. I was able to control the lights with a script. So I was like, I'm going to turn on the lights when the sun sets. Then I was not at home. Lights would turn on. Okay, now we need presence detection. Oh, false positive. That's not a good. And this whole script kind of morphed over time into Home Assistant. I put it on GitHub. People started using it. First, they're extreme diehard nerds, and then over time, we were making it easier and easier and easier, attracting more people. at some point, like, we create our own operating system. And with our own operating system, all of a sudden now you could take a Raspberry Pi, install our software, boom, you had your own smart home system. Now, what makes our software unique compared to all the others, and why it may seem more complicated, is because everything is possible. If you look at like a system like Google Home or Amazon or Apple Home, you can put all your data in their systems. The devices, you don't have much choice, but the devices are supported. You can put all the data in their systems, but then you can only get access to your data through the Google Home app and the Google hardware. If somebody has a great idea for visualization, experimentation with anything, you're stuck. You cannot access to your own data. And so with Home Assistant, it's built around this core principle. You put a device in your house and it collects data, it's your data. Right? That's the very core. That's why we say we put it in your house, we store it in your house. There is no cloud. Well, we can require features from the cloud, but everything is running, stored, fully working locally. And that also means that for us, privacy is important, right? Like, it's fine if you want to interact with the cloud, but it should be opt-in. It should be consent from the user. And so that's our core philosophy. And that's how, with the core script of Home Assistant, a lot of communities started building. Because now there was somebody who was like, Frank, for example, his WLED lights or his Elgato lights. It didn't work with Home Assistant.
It's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Both of them. Yeah.
he wrote a script. And all of a sudden, Frank can control his light with Home Assistant. But everyone in the world can now control their WLED and their Elgato lights. And we don't, there's not just one person doing this. At this point, there's like 21,000 people working on Home Assistant in the last year, for example, and they all are working on making Home Assistant better. Some people work on the core, like, for example, Nick over there. We have a bunch of core developers actually in the room. But there's also other people that are just working on, for example, improving the Philips Hue integration. Or, for example, Thorsten is over here. He's working on making Icelandic voices be able to be generated locally so that you can do text to speech, which we have a very cool demo of as well later. Yeah. So that's kind of the gist. Why do people perceive it as complicated? I want to just tackle that because it was a little bit of emphasis too much to my. We spend a lot of time making it easier. 6 years ago, on the 5th birthday of Home Assistant, we announced that I started a company. And we started a company that did some services around Home Assistant. We never locked anything behind a paywall, but we offer remote access, text-to-speech, integration with Google, Amazon, things you could do yourself, but if you're lazy or you just want us to do it or you want to support the development, you could do it. Now, once we started the company, we started hiring people. So today, I'm working full-time, Frank is working full-time, Marlena here is working full-time, Pierre over there is working full-time on Home Assistant, and Carl over there as well. So there's a lot of people actually here, which is also why we're in Iceland. We're actually having a meeting with a bunch of the leaders of our community here in Iceland, because I thought, Iceland's in the middle. There's some people from the US, some people from Europe. It's not like airplane-wise, it's not ideal, but we've learned that now. Doesn't matter. We're here. We started the company. We started making it easier, right? And so, for example, we now make this hardware. Now, this hardware isn't unique to run Home Assistant. It's just a box with Linux on it that runs our operating system, but it works out of the box. Because previously, before this box existed, we had to tell people, buy a Raspberry Pi, download an image, and flash it to an SD card. People don't know those words. Like, these are just, you already lost them, right? So we were like, okay, you know what? We're just going to make a box. It runs the exact same software as you would do on a Raspberry Pi, but now it's, to make it more accessible. But in the end of the day, Home Assistant is all about choice. You can put anything in Home Assistant. So you can make it as complicated as you want, or you can stick to the easy use stuff. And this is why people think it's sometimes complicated, because they find something that is really cool, very difficult. And it's always possible with Home Assistant, because somebody somewhere in the world has written a little Python script to make it possible for them at that point in time. and your situation is just slightly different. What should we talk about next, Frank?
Well, so for me, hi, I'm Frank. By the way, I'm the lead engineer for Home Assistant. And yeah, my story started like different, not from a U-Bowl. I was literally bored to death, actually, and was looking for a project to contribute to as an open source project. So I found a Home Assistant on the couch while surfing GitHub and found an issue like that I can fix. So I tried, and became somebody from the community that jumped in and helped. And the community actually responded very well to it. And I started doing more and more responses. And before you knew it, you go down the rabbit hole of home automation. And your house is full of devices, which I guess for most of you is probably the case at this point. So yeah, I'm definitely one of the people that stumbled upon the project. Paul was created 7 years ago at this point already.
No, 11.
Yeah, for you, 11. For me, 7 years. For me, 7 years ago. Yeah. So it's already a long time. It's just fun to see. And WLED indeed is one of the things that I built at the time, and Elgato as well. So it's really cool.
It's actually, how many people here run Home Assistant? It's actually interesting. Ah, that's nice. That's nice. And how many people?
Ik did het wezen.
Yeah. How many people here? How many people here know about Home Assistant Cloud? Okay. How many people subscribe to Home Assistant Cloud? A few more. Okay. So this is always the, when we talk about open source development, right? Because, if you're Google, you want to sell ads. If you're Amazon, you just lose 10 billion a year. I'm not sure they don't really have a business model. But like, there's always like a catch with the bigger companies. We're an open source project, right? We have the 21,000 people that volunteer on it, and then we have the 50 people that work full time on it. And the way we've built our funding model is that we say, okay, anyone can use it. Anyone can use it whenever they want. The license is truly accessible. You can build other stuff with it. We always like, if you like what we're doing, or you want to get these few extra things that we offer as like perks for supporting us, that's why we have Home Assistant Cloud. That's why people support us. And it's been going great.
Going really well.
Yeah.
Everything we do, like every single thing, we've always believed that you should be able to do without us.
Yeah.
On yourself. Like if we go away, you should still be able to run your home, right? So
because that's in the end, that's what
important.
That's what we want for the smart home. When I don't know if you if you come in a house with like an older thermostat, right? It might be like 30 years old, it will still work. Somehow, when we got these smart devices put into our houses, we kind of accepted the fact, oh yeah, in 5 years I'll just replace it, right? Just like I replaced my laptop, my phone, my wireless router. But if you want to make everything smart in your house, are you going to throw out 20 devices? No, things should be made to last, right? This is where we build our software this way, but we also promote devices from other manufacturers that work this way. You want to talk about the Works with Home Assistant program? Or
yeah, that's what we're slowly developing right now.
Yeah.
We're adding the Works with Home Assistant program, which is now, we released it a few years back, a year, 2 back, something like that.
Yeah.
We started slowly building it out, and it will now become part of the Open Home Foundation. And we are currently working hard with many partners to find products that actually get certified for the Works with Home Assistant program. It's a program where manufacturers start to work with the community and with us to make sure that the product works well, and works well with Home Assistant. That's something that you buy from a shelf and just like works as expected and has no quirks and whatnot. And that will get a stamp of approval, basically saying, hey, this device works really well with Home Assistant. And we're currently hard expanding that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening in the background. We're expecting to announce a bunch of products soon and a bunch of manufacturers soon. So that's really exciting to see. Yeah. And one of the things we're envisioning is that in about 5 years' time, around that, maybe that time frame, we want to be able to have anyone in any part in any country to be able to buy a few products of their choice in any category that works with Home Assistant, has like that little stamp of approval. So that the choice is there, but you also know what to buy. Because I don't know if anybody has ever tried a Tuya bulb, for example. It might not have been the best experience. We want to be able to list products and how do I have products that actually work well and match our goals of local control, respect privacy, and things like that, and keep working for the many years to come. Be sustainable for the upcoming years.
That's often like if there's a cloud involved, you always have to think who's paying for this? Who's paying for this cloud, right? If you're not paying for this cloud, but you rely on it to access your home while you are away, like that's a cost for a company. And one day a company is going to be like, nope, that's not what we want to support anymore. This is why are we having cost for a light bulb we sold 10 years ago or 5 years ago? And we see this happening all the time.
This week, actually.
Which one?
Rumors were there for Tado.
Oh yeah, they were gonna.
The thermostat, Tado. There were some rumors about them adding a subscription to it in order to use the app when you're not at home. And there was some. They deny it now, and it was a test. That's what they published, and they now clearly said that they will never going to charge for it. But this was a test gone wrong. But yeah, this is what can happen if they pull the rug and pull a paywall for it. Then in front of it, then those people lose control of their devices. That's not a device that will ever be able to make it into a program.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit. Last year, we did a really big move because I talked about how I started Home Assistant, talked about how we have Nabukasa, the company, funding development. But actually last year we did another big step is that, I'm just going to make sure. So this is the Home Assistant website in case you haven't seen it ever again.
By the way, a real demo. People don't know it maybe, but it's actually Home Assistant running there.
Yeah, you can run it.
Is it your home? So if you
That people asked a lot. No, it's not. It's actually a demo.
My cursor is not moving. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so you can actually use this demo. So you can like just say, I want to turn things on and off. A little bit overkill, but we really like technology, right? So we build little stuff wherever we go. But last year, what we did is that we started the Open Home Foundation. So before we started the Open Home Foundation, Home Assistant was a project on GitHub. Like I started it, so I was the owner. Nabukasa existed, didn't own Home Assistant, only funded the development, kind of looked next to it. And what we saw in the industry is that people don't understand that concept of a GitHub repository, believe it or not. And so they were like, well, but there's a company. So you guys are just a company and you guys can be sold. And then you're going to like start charging things or mess it up. And so this was difficult when doing partnerships, for example, because sometimes we need to access cloud services of other manufacturers. And they are like, well, you got to pay for it. This is the business world. This is business to business. And we're like, we're not a business. We're an open source GitHub project. They didn't understand it. So we started the Open Home Foundation. And then I donated Home Assistant to the Open Home Foundation. So the Open Home Foundation is a non-profit based in Switzerland. It can never be bought. It can never be sold. It's bound by its mission. And the mission is to build a smart home around privacy, choice, and sustainability. So by doing this, now Nabukasa is still around. Nabukasa still exists. We still make hardware. We still sell services. But contractually, the majority of the revenue has to go into the Open Home Foundation, and we pay for the development of Home Assistant. And this has given us a great way to talk about our governance. And just our stuff is the real deal. And some of you might have followed the WordPress stuff with Matt Mullenweg, and like apparently Automatic did own WordPress after all. In our case, that's not the case. Like the Open Home Foundation is here, and so the way Mozilla builds Firefox, the way the Signal Foundation builds Signal, that's how the Open Home Foundation builds Home Assistant. What else shall we talk about?
Well, you brought all kinds of things here, Paulus. Like this is where Home Assistant is coming from, and the Open Home Foundation is there. We talked about the Work with Home Assistant program. What about Home Assistant, actually?
Yeah, Home Assistant.
Home Assistant.
Home Assistant.
That's what they're here for.
Yeah. You want to talk about the dashboards? You want to talk? Yeah, come on, Madeleine.
Good idea.
Why don't you talk?
Hi. I'm the lead of product and design for the Home Assistant project. So
Yeah, for the past year, we had the first roadmap, and our goal is to make sure that Home Assistant have great home approval factor. And what that means is not just the admin of the house have a great experience using Home Assistant. We also want to make sure like the adoption of Home Assistant within the household. So anybody from, your spouse, your kids, or like your guests, like would be able to start using it more. We know that a lot of people would try to use Home Assistant at the back end or like use Apple Home as a front end, for example. But in the long run, we want to make sure that the major functions of a smart home, which is to allow you to control, display, automate, and also predict every aspect of your home to be done right out of the box from Home Assistant. And to do so, there are 4 major areas that we're working on. One is the display, which is for dashboards, for the controlling and also displaying information of your house. The second thing is asset and voice. To the smart home, so you can control it without like any screens, and you can do it from anywhere in your house with natural language. And then we have an automation engine, which is allow you to automate and like make sure like with all the different triggers and conditions and do any actions, and you can build it as complex as you like. And last but not the least is like we are, unlike a lot of different smart home platforms, we store your data. We actually have long-term statistics for your house. So you can actually use that data to calculate your long-term energy usage with our energy dashboards. And we plan to do more in future with like the use of like, say, some deep data processing and maybe AI down the road.
Cool. This is the new dashboarding we introduced earlier this year, the drag and drop sections view.
Yep.
Any of you already tried that, using that? Some in the room? It's great. Okay, that's good.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Yeah, it used to be much harder to do a dashboard, but now, you can actually drag it to any section you like. You can actually add a new section if you want to have like a whole bunch of cards. You can just add them and select, say.
Can we introduce spoilers already, Madalena?
Can we?
Like, I don't know. I'm not sure which browser is running out.
No, this is the demo.
Yeah, so if I select all the lights, and you could actually, that's not cursor.
Icelandic, yeah.
Icelandic, yes. And you can actually add all these kind of things. So no more coding in YAML. Everything is right there. Right away.
Can I try something?
Yes, definitely.
Because we're introducing something new. And it might be already in here, or it might be not. But in case you didn't know, you can resize these things, right? So you can give it like this view.
Yeah, so you want it wider.
Now it's wide. This is cool. Now this is like empty in here. And if this is the new version,
like brightness and it too, the appearance.
You cannot read it. No, it's not.
It's not here yet.
Not here yet. But
so what's going to happen? I'm going to call it then anyways. You can now place that bar next to it, so it will stay the same height, and you get like a nice slider next to it. It'll lie in the future.
Getting more and more customization options. So, yeah.
The upcoming release will be a lot of new tweaks and tunes to this dashboard.
So yeah,
These 3 mushroom cards or this.
No, so the creator of mushroom cards, Paul, he actually works for Nabokasa. So he has built. So he has been doing the back end of writing the code for all of these things. Yeah. And actually, it's interesting because this is actually how we grow the people that work on Home Assistant. Is that we just look within our community who is doing cool stuff, and then we ask them, "Do you want to do that full time?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." So when we wanted to refresh our dashboard, we looked at the person doing mushroom, and we saw that the way Paul had structured his code, the way he selected which features to add and which not to add was like aligned with how we approach these kind of things. And so we asked him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll join." And so he's been working hard on this. He just posted on Reddit like last week or something. It's like why are you still using mushroom card? Like, and apparently there's a few features that we don't have, which we consider a little too hacky for our code. So I think the mushroom cards will stay around for that purpose. But the looks have been very aligned with this card. And the bigger goal we have with this whole system, trying to make it easier to make dashboards, is that if you need to build dashboards for people in your house, well, getting into YAML, getting deep, you might be like, oh, I'm not caring about that much about my dashboard, because you as an admin, you know where everything is.
Yeah.
But if you have to build a dashboard for your partner or for your parents that are visiting or whatever, it needs to look good, understandable, be organized, right? And that's
If you still want to do it the hard way, you can.
This is how it is. Yeah. So, and dashboards is like one of our things that is important that we realized, okay, this is where, if we want to get home assistants into the hands of more people, well, let's start with the people living in a home assistant household, right? That's a lot of people already. Like, you look at active installations, we estimate around 2 million home assistant installations worldwide. Well, the admins all have accounts, but what about like the people living with them? So making good dashboards is a first step to getting more people involved with home assistants.
Yep.
And actually the energy dashboard, if we can go back for a second, because the energy dashboard is actually really cool, because here we have made a decision. We're going to ask just for a couple of inputs: how much solar is being generated for your house, how much gas are you using, how much like energy are you using yourself, is the house using, and we automatically create graphs. We create graphs hourly based. We can include like a solar forecast, and so all of a sudden you get insight into your energy usage. You can start comparing periods with like last month or last year.
Is energy data here in Iceland something you get from your provider?
Yeah, so the energy is very cheap, so we don't, it's really good.
Dare I to ask in dollars, like a ballpark?
It's a kilowatt
hour. What?
With everything.
15 cents.
15? I will give you my power banks. You can charge them and send them back.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Good. Well, then we'll go to the next page.
But heating and stuff, that's also electric. Would it?
But they route everything to their Yeah.
The 15 cents is very expensive compared to the hot water.
Yeah. They have just district heating.
Yeah,
and they just
yes.
route everything to their volcano and back.
So much energy around the world. It's so different everywhere.
Yeah.
That's really complicated.
It's time we open the window.
Yeah.
Well, I do too, though. But...
All right.
So we talk about dashboard and data. Do we want to talk about automations or voice?
Well, Paulus has a lot of voice stuff.
I have a lot of
people are interested. Sorry.
Pushing out power meters nice. And they're pushing it via special GPS towards the central, and you can hook up more USB towards
Nice. Nice.
That's cool. Home visit or
Home whistle,
yeah.
Oh, it's a P1 port. Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So we've been
Oh, nice. Well, make sure you share it with the others. Like the P1 port is very cool, although you guys don't care about electricity. But the P1 port is one of the best standards for electricity meters, because it looks like a phone jack, but it actually powers a device that you plug into it, and the other two are real-time power and cumulative energy usage. So you can really get real-time statistics about what are you doing in your house, and then of course then you can start doing like, oh, I'm turning on like the oven, and you see like things spike. You're like, oh wow, that actually has effect. So the P1, I live in America. There's nothing of this. It's all chaos. So yeah, P1 is very good. I mean, they still help you on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you get power from the 214, so the trick is to just a right amount of power to be able to power up the machine.
Yeah.
To be able to try and make this. He actually ordered and has been doing this himself. Regulate the power so he can actually run it right off the port. So he just stays power.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi and just.
Let's set it to home system. Nice.
But you correct me wrong. It's only possible for water or liquid to do.
For both, but they're still in the development of the water part. It's in beta for some users. It's not completely open, but if you call them and ask them to open that part, that they'll do. So there is a Facebook group specifically for it. If you look it up,
That's cool.
you get that. Probably like
I like how that is such a.
You also need to call always the distribution company, and they need to open the P1 form.
Yeah. Okay.
They are very open.
That's very cool. All right. Hey, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about voice, because who here has used our voice assistant, Home Assistant voice? Okay, that's good. Yeah, who here uses Google, Apple Voice? Also a few. Okay, so at the in 2023, it's already been 2 years and a bit ago, we declared Year of the Voice because we realized that if you use Google, if you use Apple, if you use Amazon, they do everything worse than us. Their dashboards are not very customizable. They don't even have all of history. Some just have you can only see the current state. The automations are very limited. The integrations are very limited. But they do one thing better that we do really poorly, which was voice. And so people would not ever fully move over. They would keep sharing their data with Amazon and Google. And we felt like that should stop. As in, there should be choice, right? There should be an option. If you don't want to share your data with Google, you should still be able to use voice for your house. So we set a goal. We always set ambitious goals, global goals. So we said, we want anyone to be able to control their house in their own language. And so we hired this guy called Mike Hansen. He was involved with Minecraft and Raspberry, a bunch of open source voice projects. And he became our voice guy, as he calls himself today. And together with him, we've been building and architecting a framework to allow any person from any language to help develop voice support in Home Assistant for their language. And we build a community around this because within the core team of Home Assistant, we are very much distributed around the world. We speak many languages, but we don't speak all languages. We also don't have, even though people that speak the language don't always know why they speak it in certain ways, right? So there's always, it's better to get the experts in and being able to allow them to volunteer. And so we've been building this now for a little over 2 years. We built a bunch of technology because yes, you can do everything in the cloud. You can use text to speech, speech to text APIs, for example, through Home Assistant Cloud, our supporter program, and you get very good Icelandic voices, which we'll let you hear in a second. But what if you just want to do everything fully local? What if you just, maybe your summer house doesn't have an internet connectivity? Yes. Should you then not have any voice at all? And so we've been working and building technologies. And one of the technologies we built is called Piper, which is a text-to-speech engine. Thorsten here from the Reykjavik University, he has been building Piper voices, for example, for Icelandic, because he had a lot of Icelandic data, been able to create voices. And that way, now, if you ever want to have text-to-speech audio played on, for example, the laundry is done, and then in Icelandic, of course, you can use one of his voices to say that message on a speaker that you have. Actually, I have some of the voices here. So this is we have 4. Which one should you just do this one first?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is and this runs on Thorsten's computer at home, but you can run it at your own computer at home as well, right? So this is in a way kind of a cloud because it's someone else's computer, but so yeah.
Fast.
Well, I think this was cached, but yeah, I don't know if that was correct or not, but I'm assuming so. This was yeah,
pretty fast.
and text to speech is actually very great to contribute because you only need a single speaker to make high quality recordings to turn it into a voice that anyone can use. So 1,300 sentences, yeah. And so this has been great. So now, Icelandic text to speech is done. Thorsten has also worked on mapping Icelandic sentences to actions inside Home Assistant. And so the last missing piece is still speech to text. That's where you say a command and you turn it into text. We're actually working now together on we just announced a new system that can work fully local called speech to phrase. And we still got to fine tune a model there to really, but then it will be in half a second speed. You will be able to say, turn on the lights in half a second. A device like the Home Assistant Green can just understand what you said and the lights can be turned off. So it'll be super fast, but you will have limited sentences. But if you just want to control your lights, set some timers, you should be good to go. That one I don't know. I do know Azure. So Microsoft Azure is what powers Home Assistant Cloud. So Home Assistant Cloud offers anyone that is subscribed private access into the Azure ecosystem. And we can actually do a demo here because I have let me introduce you. I'll do a demo in a second because we have actually here Home Assistant Cloud with Icelandic hooked up to ChatGPT. Because we were building voice, and then everyone in the world wanted to do AI all of a sudden, right? Like I said, we started 2 years ago. Now there's AI everywhere, and so we also said, you know what? We have the sentences that can locally be matched to, for example, Icelandic. But what if you just want to talk with ChatGPT? Okay, we do that. And then we're like, what if ChatGPT could control your house? Like I said, we love technology. We always push the boundaries. This is all optional, by the way, right? If you don't want AI to control your house, I can totally understand it. But that works too. So now that's why we're having a box here where you can talk Icelandic to her and have ChatGPT respond in Icelandic. Now the last bit again, where I just talked about the reason we started to sell hardware was because there was a bunch of difficult words just to get started, right? Well, with voice, it was the same way. There was no proper voice hardware that did audio cleanup, had a proper speaker, had captured the audio, acoustic echo cancellation, a bunch of fancy audio tricks to get a very clean signal was being sent in the room. And so we decided to build it. So both of these devices, they've been designed by Madalena. And this is kind of a reminiscent of the old iPods. You should all come forward at the end here and feel it. It's it clicks very nicely.
But he was talking about looks like an iPod, and I'm wondering
There's only one way to find out. No, I don't think. I mean,
yeah, I don't think you can see.
I don't think. Yeah,
Ron did it before that.
Yeah. So now there's been many circles, buttons. So I think we don't have the screen on top, and it's. But we'll see. But it's a good thing to note. But yeah, we started just selling these. We don't sell them directly in Iceland. We already had some questions like, "Oh, are you going to sell them here today?" I only brought one. We're a very small foundation, right? We're not many people, and so people always expect when we launch product that we have global distribution figured out in every country. We don't. So we do.
The rest of this launch, we had quite a few countries actually.
We had quite, yeah. This time we did better because we tried not to have it sold out right away because people were always, every time you launch a product, it sells out right away. This one sold out within 23 minutes. And even though we had a lot of stock. So we're making more and more getting available. If you are interested in this device, Steed ships globally. And there's also some Scandinavian countries that ship to Iceland, pretty sure. Yeah, next time. Well, I don't have my own stock even. It's all gone. So, yeah, well, I think. No, it's all closed. It's all locked in. And I think that we can start talking to Sonos. I mean, who knows if they will still be around in 5 years with their current trajectory, but they have new management. That's true. So maybe we should reach out, but we have to, I think first we have to prove ourselves, right? Like prove that we are a voice assistant, that there's demand from the audience that also buy Sonos products. For example, we can talk to Sonos. There's a lot of devices you can install your own firmware on that have microphones, but they don't tend to have the XMOS chip that cleans up the audio.
So what Paul says, right, before this device was launched, you could already build your home assistant voice assistant. You can use speech chip and some speakers and a microphone and start trying to remove noise and do all kinds of things with the folder and putting stuff together and make your own device, right, in order to get something useful. The thing with this is this device is called the Voice Preview Edition. It's called Preview Edition for that reason. We try to get a piece of hardware into our software development community that can just be bought and put them in their houses and help out with the development. We are a development community. The whole Home Assistant is driven by community development. In order to get the community building on voice hardware or the software for the voice hardware or any voice hardware at all, we need to get those people enabled, right? They need a device to be able to play and test with. And that's what this device does. That's why it's here. Like we put this out there, you can place it in your home, you can use it. And if it works for you, that's great. But there are many, many people that now started jumping into the development of this thing, helping, building Icelandic support, for example, right? Because there's now all of a sudden hardware you can just buy and use and play with as a software developer.
We haven't even mentioned that our Home Assistant app runs on Android, on iPhone, on the car, Android car, on the Google Watches, and so we have Assist there as well. Just no wake word, right? So you still have to press a button, and then you can do it. That's how I actually I have Assist on my Apple Watch, and then that's how I open my front door when I'm like 20 meters away walking home, so I don't have to open it myself.
Things like these enable like room awareness, right? Like turning on the lights while you're in the room, in the living room, will turn on the living room lights, not your whole house. And watch that could be difficult because it doesn't know where you are. Well, you need Wi-Fi. Presence detection. Yeah. That's like a golden.
Room presence detection will crack one day. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I mean, like the goal of this hardware is to build the best possible smart microphone that you can use for voice. There are just so many problems that can occur, like starting from zero to getting your home assistant voice assistant going, from like getting hardware, getting the right microphones. Like even though Android and iPhone works, they're not the best microphones there are, right? This is intentional design that they're 17 millimeters apart, that is designed to the specifications of the XMOS chip. And speaking of which, like, I don't think this can compete for sound quality to a Sonos, but that's also why we designed it with a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack at the back so that you can reuse any of your existing speaker system. Yeah. And add this on top of it, then you can use voice and also have great sound that you may have.
Well, the XMOS chip is actually really good in like whatever goes out through the speaker to not record that, to filter it out, right? So you can actually blast very loud music with like an amplifier connected to it, and it will still be able to hear the wake word. And then a little spoiler of something we're working on. We haven't announced this yet. It's going to be in April, but we're adding Snapcast support to the Voice Preview Edition. So Snapcast is an open source protocol for multi-room audio. So if you ever want to have, nowadays, like, we're so spoiled from like the Sonos or the Google, the Apple devices that you walk from the kitchen to the living room to the basement and everywhere you want to hear your track, right? It has to be all in sync. That's actually pretty hard because you need to know the moment the audio is played, it needs to report back, I'm playing this timestamp of the audio, and everything has to be kept in sync. And sometimes the media player needs to go a bit faster, go a bit slower to make sure everything stays aligned. And so, sorry, there's a screen flickering at me. Yeah. So yeah, this is coming, Snapchat. So it will be really cool because, well, you can just get a bunch of voice PEs, get a bunch of active speakers, and you can have it through your house. And of course, it will also be all open source. So we expect more companies to build other voice assistants, build other Snapcast clients, and these kind of things. Let's try it out. Alex, do you want to come here?
Please, maybe another which is native Icelandic. Or...
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, but you have already practiced. So otherwise, I'll ask. But I'll ask Torsten, because do you want to turn on the kitchen lights in Icelandic?
Okay, Nabu?
Yeah.
Hey, Nabu.
No, okay.
Okay, Nabu. Kveiktu eldhúsljósin.
Oh shit, my computer was off. Sorry, it's already off. Did you?
Yeah, we'll ring to after.
Oh no, now you have to say the wake word again. That's coming. Conversational stuff is coming as well.
Okay, Nabu. Getur við kveikt eldhúsljósin?
Eldhúsljósin eru nú kveikt.
That's wrong.
This screen has crashed. I don't know why. No, it turned on my screen. I need to.
Your screen was asleep and it lost the connection to the computer. That's why.
Look. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. Look, do you see it flickering? That's when I move.
Yeah, this laptop is interesting.
Yeah. Okay, something's happening. Yeah, the mouse works again. Yeah. I'm just going to see if everything is synced. I'm going to turn it off on my computer. That's another cool thing. Like I said, we love technology. Everything, all your screens are always in sync, right? Okay, so we got to do this again. Sorry, Torsten, because now this worked again. Good. Can you turn it on?
Hey, Nabu. You kveikja á eldhúsljósunum.
Yeah, good. Now, we have what is very cool is that something we're working on is conversational, is that it also understands the context, right? So you should be able to say in Icelandic, can you turn it now off again? And it should understand which one to control. Can you do it?
Okay, Nabu. Getur þú slökkt aftur?
Okay.
That was natural.
Yes. So now, yes. 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 So this is what is included in Home Assistant Cloud. So text to speech, speech to text, it just works. Yeah.
How does it know that?
Oh, so we let me see. We added because this is my dev instance. So we actually went to we support aliases. But I actually think that ChatGPT might be smart enough. So we're going to try this.
Did you remove the O and O? Or the Icelandic character?
Because we didn't have the Icelandic keyboards.
This is my best Icelandic we can do. But yeah, but you can actually remove it because I'm pretty sure that ChatGPT can be smart enough. In fact, I'm just gonna talk manually to it. Let me see, Icelandic Cloud GPT. So I can just say, I can even speak. Well, now of course I cannot type Icelandic, so this is not work. No, but I'm okay. But yeah, this is not. This is cheating, of course. Okay. Yeah, I cannot type Icelandic, so then. That's it. Turn on the lights in the kitchen.
The intention of everything you have in the context of your prompt. So it's like an answer based on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a whole tool API that exposes Home Assistant to the large language models. And it knows the state, it knows how to control things, and it knows, for example, you can ask it about your calendar events and list like some things like that.
Okay,
Okay, just try your best. ChatGPT is actually pretty smart. So if you just make typos, they will laugh, but ChatGPT will just do it.
Oh. Okay.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
So ChatGPT is actually smart enough to see, like, translate themselves between Icelandic and English. Now, of course, this
It can also hallucinate something.
it can definitely hallucinate. So
It's an AI.
yeah.
There was another question there.
I was wondering two things. Mentioned before, you can have more than one wake word on the device, and it talks to different.
That's coming.
Like, for example, could it understand Icelandic on one and talk to Google on the other, and GPT on the other?
So that's something that we haven't built yet, but that we're working on. So right now, the only two wake words that we always run is the one that you configure. Okay, Nabu, hey Jarvis. Oh yeah, that's of course. Hey Jarvis or Mycroft are the three wake words we currently have included. And we have a fourth one called stop. So if a timer is firing, you can just say stop and it will stop. We are working on adding more wake words, but we need a lot of human samples, right? So we used to use synthetic voices. With synthetic voice generation and adding like reverb and whatever room echo stuff, you kind of hit a local maximum. With real human samples, we can go a lot further. But our idea is actually, our dream will be that you say two different wake words, one for Icelandic, one for English, or maybe one for home control, one for ChatGPT, or these kind of things. We do have, this is actually another cool thing, is that we actually allow you to fold these two in one. So we have a whole debug, right? Like we love going very deep, knowing why something works and something doesn't work. But this feature prefer handling commands locally. So it means that when you talk to ChatGPT, but you just say turn on the lights, it's not going to talk to ChatGPT because Home Assistant knows what you're doing, even if you're speaking Icelandic. So it will just do it. And so that way, ChatGPT becomes a fallback. So you can just say normal, turn on the lights, local, fast, free.
Tell me a joke.
Tell me a joke. It will go to ChatGPT. Yes. Yeah. But of course, if you start hosting your AI on the volcanoes here, I think you might be getting a good price.
Local.
Yeah.
One thing I was wondering about is the, about conversation. I'm not sure. Like I think I saw something about that the device can ask you a question.
Yes. So that's one of my favorite new features. And that's actually something we haven't talked about because everybody's like, nobody cares about this about you, but I'm going to show it anyway. And that is one of the things that we did with voice is that we were like kind of exploring the space. And we're like, what is like the most extreme you can do? And so we're like, what is the world's most private voice assistant looking like? And what we came up with is the analog phone. Because with an analog phone, it's never listening, right? The wake word is not active. There's no microphone active until you pick up the horn. And then only you are hearing the answers. So it actually, that is the world's most private voice system.
I do want to add some context though. Originally, when we started the voice project, there were many parts of voice, right? Wake word, speech tags, handling. But this was a way for us to start working with voice without worrying about wake word again. That's how it initially formed. But it turns out to be actually really cool.
Yeah.
And one.
Yeah, our kids love it because they just pick it up and then they're asking like questions to ChatGPT about Pokemon or about like Minecraft, and they get answers. And my son has like all these questions the whole day about things I don't know. Also, they're very low stakes. So if ChatGPT hallucinates about Minecraft or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna turn on this demo. This is not the start conversation. I'll get to that later, but first I want to just for context how it could work or how it works. Right, so you give it a voice command that you can also give through a box, but you can give it to a phone. Now, this was what we had for a long time. And now in this release, we went one step further, and now Home Assistant can call your phone. This is really big. Yeah. And the reason this is very cool is that if the laundry is done and you don't know who's home and you just want to notify the living room, you can now have the living room be, you ring the phone. And if the person in the living room picks up, that's when they get the notification. And then also in Home Assistant, oh, somebody has received my notification because I saw the horn being picked up.
To rebuild like the old-fashioned, old-school hotel wake-up call in the morning. Like such an old phone on my nightstand that wakes me up in the morning and I pick up and I should confirm that I'm awake, something like that.
And so what was very cool is that this works with any analog phone. So we basically added the voice over IP protocol to a Home Assistant. So, it just works. So this is a demo of like us calling the phone.
So this does not work on the satellite.
Not yet.
That was my.
Oh, so yeah, it's coming. It's coming. We just missed the cutoff of the ESP home release to get it in the protocol, so it's going to be within 2 months.
It'd be so cool that if you open up the door, you come home, it like tells you like do you want to really think of music or something, and you can just say yes in the space.
Yeah.
Now there's no waiting.
Yeah.
Got a summary of whoever rang the doorbell today or whatever happened. Yeah, that's just fun stuff. Huh?
One of the cool things that is happening also there is that if you have the ChatGPT call you, right, you can actually give ChatGPT some context, like the user is coming home, it's this user, this is happening, like the data that you don't have to tell the user, but that the user will understand. For example, because if you tell the user, you left the garage door open, you want to close it, ChatGPT needs to know which entity ID, right? And so you can give extra context to ChatGPT, then have it talk to you, and then continue the conversation. So that's the calling these devices is going to come. Follow-up questions, so you don't have to say the wake word again, is going to come as well. So yeah, we have. Let me just. We have a whole tutorial. So the nice thing is that you don't actually have to. We have it all written here. So what you need is an analog phone, of course. The cool thing about analog phones is that when analog phones were being designed, every country still had its own design language. So, for example, in Denmark, I bought like one of those Erico phones that is like this single-piece phone that has like a big hang-up button when you put it on the table. It looks very cool. But like from the Netherlands, I have like a big backlight, like green. Yeah. But yeah, we recommend the Grand Stream HC 801. They're pretty affordable. And they basically look like this: phone in, internet out. That's it. And you could.
The system will now act as a PBX if you act as a will directly call on the chip
calling to the address.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's called off-hook auto dial. So the moment the user picks up the phone, it will automatically call Home Assistant, and Home Assistant picks up. So. And then, of course, the bigger dream is that we just can call your phone, right? But now we're kind of fantasizing with.
Hey, WhatsApp can do that.
Also, a lot of the doorbells, like
yeah.
Yeah. To bring some kind of a small asterisk into that, in case and still be.
Yeah.
From building asterisk sheets.
Yeah, I want to hit quickly look into that. Sorry, because that somebody has already done that, because certain doorbells can already talk to assist. But what I think is really cool, what I just want to hear is that because in a Home Assistant there are no guardrails, right? Like you can do with the technology and your data what you want. So if you want to plug an analog phone into Home Assistant, you can do that, right? If you want to just have a box that just works, you can do that too. Or if you just want to just use your phone, like it's all about choice for us. So if you want to, we're going to make sure the defaults out of the box are great. So for example, when you set up this box, we're going to tell you, we're going to ask you, hey, do you want to use Home Assistant Cloud or do you want to go fully local? And once we have speech to phrase working, which is the one that runs fully local on even a device like the Home Assistant Green, that will just be automatically installed and configured. So it's about choice and just getting the most out of the technology that you have in your house.
It's also just fun nerding out of this.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell me about your security? Can I?
Yeah, sure. So, how Home Assistant Cloud Remote actually works is the whole tunnel, the whole connection is encrypted. The SSL certificates are actually generated on your instance locally, as everything else with Home Assistant. That means the private keys are there. It also means that we are just like, that's true. That's literally what we do. We don't know what the keys are. We don't have them. It also means that like we cannot do anything. We don't want anything. Absolutely have no interest in data at all. And we also want to make sure we never can access it.
Yeah.
Something we keep as a security method is to alert instances that they're not using to one factor on the user. But I think you've already integrated that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a good idea to flash that to whoever, because if you don't, somebody is doing it.
And we said for security, we talked about that earlier. The source code for the library used for the remote access for the if you want to dive into that, you can check that we track anything. So problem for us, we don't track anything. That's our concept. We are privacy focused.
So we actually, about the 2FA, we don't know if we are running 2FA. We can't see it. We cannot see it. We don't know.
But inside Home Assistant, we could.
Inside Home Assistant, we could wonder.
Yeah. I think there's, I mean, like, I know that at Google, because I was just setting up like Google Suite for like an organization and I enabled like enforced 2FA and then nobody could accept their invites anymore because they didn't have 2FA. But there's a way we could probably ask people to motivate during login, right? Motivate them like, hey, you should do 2FA.
And besides this all, we actually hired a company, QR53, to do a security audit. Like that was a year and a half ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. A year and a half ago, we had a security company coming over and audit actually all the authentication, remote control, part of the code base. They did find issues. We did publish them. But the issues that were published were never...
They were not critical.
We're not critical in this regard.
And
we didn't publish as well. There's also there.
Mine's been running since 2016 on the internet. Hasn't been
hacked. Yeah. Oh, that sounds good.
Monitoring all the traffic. It's been definitely not the problem.
The way we do this, because it's open source, everybody is able to look at it. And we'll definitely see it. Like, of course, like something will someday happen somewhere. That we had that years ago with hacks. Yeah. Hacks had a leak.
We kicked everyone offline. What we did is that we launched a fix, and everyone that wasn't up to date, we disconnected them from the remote access, and we sent them an email saying we disconnected you because you need to update, otherwise your system is vulnerable. And then
we do know the version you're running, so we know there was an issue with that version. We disconnected all the people that were remotely protected at that point in time. But this happened years ago.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we had GitHub security labs popping by.
True.
All of a sudden,
doing a whole studio out as well.
There was a team building.
It was their team building, yeah. And they didn't know that Studio 53 at that same time frame was already doing audit, and they found similar issues. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the things.
Yeah.
We have a way to get the information from you. Because there is loading from somewhere and send an email. Hey, someone.
Not yet, but it's a good idea. This is how we built Home Assistant, right? We have just these ideas, and now we kind of like spitball. Hey, I wanna talk about a project that is adjacent to Home Assistant, and maybe some of you have already heard of it, but I wanna just, who knows here about Music Assistant? A few hands. Okay, so Music Assistant is geniusly named. I think at the one that picked Home Assistant. I think so Music Assistant is created by Marcel. Marcel also works full-time on Home Assistant, and he realized that, well, there's all these devices coming into Home Assistant. Home Assistant creates a generic layer, and then you can send it to any, to the UI or to do whatever you want with it. He's like, we should do this for music. We should set music free. And so what he did, and I'm not sure if there's a graphic explaining it, but yeah. Yes, there you go. So the way it works is that you have all your favorite music services. Spotify, YouTube, Flex, SoundCloud, or whatever, right? Like all these services, they come into Music Assistant. Music Assistant creates one big music collection, including local, by the way, local files in the MP3s. And it shows you that there's one single unified collection. And then, for example, if you say play this album from the Beatles, it will see which of your providers, local or in the cloud, have the highest quality, and then it will play. But it will play it on any speaker that can play a URL, because it will generate a single continuous stream that you can then again send to whatever you want. So this is AirPlay, this is Cast, Sonos, this is Snapcast, which is also coming to the Voice PE. Of course, it works with Home Assistant. This is Logitech, Speechbox, yeah. So all of a sudden, all of these systems can now play music from all of these systems. And soon as we have Snapcast integrated, you can then also have all these systems play to multiple speakers throughout your house in sync. So this Music Assistant is just one-click install in Home Assistant. It's just an add-on. It's just part of the whole ecosystem, right? So you run Home Assistant and you like listening to music, definitely give Music Assistant a try.
I find this one cool. This is fully kiosk browser. I didn't know it would play music.
Oh, that's nice. So this is, in our ecosystem, there's always a lot of like things going on. But the full kiosk browser, somebody made an Android app for tablets. And if you have an old tablet, you can put it on your wall. You run full kiosk browser. You can show your Home Assistant dashboard. It can do like motion sensing, and and it can play your music. So yeah, full kiosk is also really cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we have another night, no. So what's that? Yeah, that's so. Yes, yeah, that's the biggest question. So I can give a brief overview of where all these smart home. There's basically three big smart home standards: Z-Wave, Zigbee, and Matter. Matter is the new kid on the block. Basically, what Zigbee and Z-Wave did is that they created a radio layer where they have their own system of talking to each other. You need your own dedicated Zigbee radio, Z-Wave radio, and on top of that, they built a layer. This is a light bulb. Turn on the light bulb. Then this was not good enough for Google and Apple and Samsung because it wasn't flexible enough. Because if they wanted, they have to put Z-Wave or Zigbee chips in all their devices. They tried a bit. They didn't feel it was the right thing to do. Partially also because they want control, right? So what does big tech do? They got together. They built a new standard. That's how we go with Matter. So Matter is the new standard. there's a lot of things good about Matter. It works over IP, right? So it actually disconnects the radio layer. It doesn't matter if it's thread or wireless or Ethernet, it can work. It also means because it works over IP, we can have washing machines integrated. Sounds like, why would you want washing machines integrated? Well, you want to get notified when your laundry is done, for example, right? And it's not possible with Matter. So Matter is actually focusing on a bunch of devices that previously Zigbee and Z-Wave were not covering. However, Matter is also a mess, as in it's very new, right? And so it will be better, but Z-Wave exists for 25 years. Zigbee exists for like 23 years or something, right? It's a lot more mature, a lot more, all the bugs have been squashed and everybody's aligned in how they ship it. Now, Zigbee is a lot more affordable. Generally, you can find a lot of Chinese manufacturers that are making very affordable Zigbee. You got to be careful though, because some of these Zigbee things, especially Tuya, we already mentioned it before, don't ever buy anything from Tuya. If you want to have a stable smart home, they make very cheap products, and they're cheap for a reason. Their quality control is not up to, it's not good. But what? Sorry.
Pay peanuts by monkeys, otherwise others sound around like you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for, yeah. Yeah.
You can buy it everywhere. The reason is it's cheap.
But yeah, you can. So if I were to say what do you have to use now, I find it very hard to suggest. I would generally lean people to Zigbee. The reason is because there's a lot more choice. Z-Wave, they focus a lot on the security space. We're putting a lot of effort in right now to pull Z-Wave back to the consumer space because they are sub-gigahertz. There's a lot of things that are very good about Z-Wave. It will also be a lot harder to get affordable Z-Wave devices for your house.
I would say Matter if you want to, but only if it's not using thread.
Yeah.
Thread in Matter, thread is useless. It does not work.
But this is the problem with Matter. Now we have to do these gotchas, and like that's why it's, for a new standard, it's supposed to be less complicated. It's actually more complicated.
Matter is going with Wi-Fi. That's
really good.
Fine if the version is used by the devices higher than Matter 1.0.
Yeah. Okay, so this is exactly like way 2 years.
Way 2 years. If you're looking for like starting out, I would not recommend. Simply because I would also say Zigbee. Simply because it would be potentially a frustrating experience from the start.
So if I might also chime in, because I have a lot of kind of experience by selling these products and setting this up. So from my own experience, it's the thing that I like about Zigbee is that they work despite if your Wi-Fi is up or not. Yeah. So I have, for example, a lot of Zigbee bulbs or something and Zigbee devices, and I have a remote that is also Zigbee and talk to the light directly. I don't have any risk, even though if my computer is down, my Wi-Fi is down, it's still working. Yeah. I don't need to rely on it. So this is what I like about Zigbee, and it's also very quick. And like we said, you have a great choice of hardware, and it's very cheap. What I don't like about Zigbee is if Zigbee is down, then it's really down. Like I mentioned my summer house the other day. You know, my Zigbee device or my Zigbee handler is connected to the PC. If this PC is down, everything is down. So I would like to have something more which can be able to talk to two other things, and this is where I think it's Matter a good choice. So if I would have a Matter like temperature sensor, I would like to see, okay, it can talk to Google and could talk to Apple and could talk to my instance. So if my instance is down, okay, then I have another, way to control it from Google or. Yeah. So, but still, it's still in the
I wanna, yeah. There's also one thing that you might already have Zigbee device in your house. Philips Hue is using Zigbee. IKEA is using Zigbee. They have a hub, right? And Home Assistant can talk to that hub. And if you buy a Zigbee stick and put it into Home Assistant, you can actually throw away the hub and control the lights directly. So that's what we call, like, you can grow into it.
Yeah, of course.
But Pierre, he's new. We shouldn't scare him right now. Like, this is like he wants to get groceries, and you give him a bulldozer.
This all seems very overwhelming if you're just getting started, but like this is exactly the problem that we try to tackle this coming year. But yeah, but that's also why like we're starting the Works with Home Assistant program, and that's gonna help you make it easier to pick what actually really works the best with Home Assistant.
Got this website for it.
Yeah. This is what Pierre was talking about. This is another project of ours to build your own smart home devices. It's really cool. There's actually, and our voice assistant is using ESP Home, right? So we are, eating our own dog food. So this is to make smart home devices. So this is what we do to make our own smart home devices. Step 2.
The WWHA. Even though it's like just look for the badge.
Those are both layer 1 devices and layer 1 protocol. So we're doing radio frequencies. Matter is layer 1 and 2 and 3. All one. So I don't understand the community actually comparing these two things together.
You cannot compare it that way, but that's
if you buy a matter
Yeah.
out towards whatever.
that's one of the problems that we solve.
So it's a different thing. So if you buy a sensor that has matter, it does a sensor for Wi-Fi, it doesn't for even at what is it called?
Yeah.
So it's just a layer on top of it.
Yeah. I'm trying to explain that to normal people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and this is always, look, but it is possible, right? Like, we kind of figured out how HDMI works, right? Even though there's many different cables, people kind of Wi-Fi, we understand how Wi-Fi works. USB-C for charging, more or less, right? Power delivery, but like this. So it takes time. And this is just, that's what matters very early on. We're going to get there. Yes, we are part of the CSA Alliance, and we are part of the working groups discussing how to continue or like where to go from here. And so I'm also a board member of the Z-Wave Alliance. So we are involved in all these alliances and making sure that they stay true to our values. So we love smart home standards because they keep your data local, and we're involved to make sure they stay keeping your data local.
So on top of that, we're working on from engineering and to get Matter certified. We're very close to that.
Yeah.
So hopefully someday soon we will be able to say, hey, even Home Assistant is now Matter certified.
When you also talk about security or something like, I'm always very conscious about these ESP devices, talking about they are on the same internet or on the same network, and they are very easy hackable. So if you get into one of those devices and you share them on the same device, they probably get your Wi-Fi password, and then it's they can very easily get further. So I'm very cautious about these. I don't know, but that is of course only my opinion. But to be
on ESP Home, you can actually run it yourself local and test it.
Yes,
we did what it does.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. You can also ESP Home supports Ethernet. So I say 80% of my ESP Home devices are Ethernet wired because I don't want to ever deal with anything wireless because as soon as you hardwire, it's always a lot more reliable. Yeah.
I want to, Marlene, point out, these are the current Works with Home Assistant partners. Home Wizard is also on them. Somebody just mentioned them, right? But these are the products from these companies that we have said, they will work. They're great to get started with. And this is going to double in the next 2 months once we work through our backlog.
Find 5.
Yeah.
A little bit cautious about time.
Yeah, okay.
We wanted to also have a short introduction to the system.
Yeah.
So I'll be here until 9 o'clock. Is that fine? So I would also like maybe to give you a short break so you can have a.
That's fine.
Come on here.
So.
Then I'll take a seat.
And you also have yourself also a little bit.
So can I plug it into?
Because I'm pretty much.
Do you need a PowerPoint? You have a PowerPoint. Yeah. Well, this is not my computer. Viruses.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, then.
Called the rubber ducky.
Yeah. Here's the USB-C.
All right. So just make sure I'm not trying to push, because obviously it's much more interesting to listen what they have to say. But the call came to if any users wanted to share their story and show their Home Assistant instance. I thought, like, why? That's not intimidating at all. Showing the founder and the core team, your Home Assistant, to talk about Home Assistant. So that's why I'm here. I actually thought there would be like 4 or 5 more presentations. So if it's only me, then it's fine, because I'm representing the tinkerer. I don't work in IT. I'm not a computer scientist. So I'm one of those that knows enough to be a little bit dangerous. So
Ég þarf að síða þá sko út af þetta stream.
Það keyrir upp makróna og kemur svo.
Já. Bara makro, bara installa einhver smá vírus og svona. Já, vel gert.
Það blir góðið tröðu þetta. Það ekki, þú þarft að segja.
Yes.
So while we wait 1 second, one thing I forgot to mention, we brought our marketing team loves making swags for events. So we made like special Open Home Foundation Reykjavik cards and pins. They're at the table at the entrance. Please have one tiny pin. As like a memorial.
Perfect.
Memorial. Yeah, I covered some. I feel like.
Hvað þarf við að séu hérna?
Það ekki bara sér fullscreen eða eitthvað, þú veist.
Já. Ég veit samt ekki hvað kemur þá.
Það er að fara í rangur skjár. Það sjá, getur ekki bara gert. Er þetta skjár eða? Talk about the Þú getur kannski bara stoppa sharing og sagt yfir þannan.
Google Hope and Health. They didn't hire more. So
it's going to be bigger probably.
So they.
Svo þetta
Okay, so I think I'm good to start, so I don't take away too much time from them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
hérna einhvern ekko hérna.
Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone, really great to be here. It's an honor to have you in the room, and really happy that you told the story while we were in Iceland, because I didn't really understand it. So, but we are happy, and I heard that you said next time, so I'm looking forward to that. So, I've been using Home Assistant since 2017. I'm a master's in business administration, so I'm not a programmer, just a tinkerer, but I'm a huge tech enthusiast. So I like everything I can do on my home lab. I'm really into like Linux for a long time. I'm a Home Assistant fanatic, and I could talk all day about ZFS also. So if anyone is into that, we can speak about that. So why did I start with Home Assistant? I mean, it's pretty much the same story as everyone. Apart from that, I didn't get a Philips Hue light bulb. I started with XBMC. And in XBMC, I thought that you could use something called bulb light. Does anyone remember that? Yeah. Just because we're in this room, and we probably have some people that are like certified electricians, this is where I'm coming from. I'm sorry. So I could like make a really hacky backlight. This is actually like dated. It's like a box from a VHS. But it actually worked. And that's where it clicked, like, linking code with the physical world and lights, that like sparked something. And then I saw a demo. Somebody had like a notification in XBMC where they could show the doorbell when somebody rang the doorbell. That like blew my mind. So I was not really relaxed until I actually got this working much later. Then in 2015, I bought a house that came with a Gira Funkbus radio system. Almost smart home because you could like program buttons and it was all like wireless, pretty cool, but you couldn't really like use your phone or any app or any automations. I could buy a device like this where you could like send the same signals and turn on the lights. You could turn off the lights, but the menu looked like this, and you couldn't really incorporate it into anything. I actually found this device, it's like a 443.4. It's not the one that everyone uses, .96, so it was like a little bit different, where I could sniff all the button presses. And I could translate that into the state, into Home Assistant. And like as somebody said, like 60% of the time, it worked all the time. So it was not really reliable. So I had to get rid of that. And you actually sold me all the buttons to replace this with Zippy, so really good. The house also had some LED lights. Really cool, but these were the controllers. First, I started with something, can't remember, but when I actually got to WLED, everything changed. Even though the whole house was with halogen lights, and I had like an electric hot tub, so I really wanted to watch my electricity usage, so I could use something called Emon CMS, where you could actually just like record how many like LED flickers were on the meter, and you could translate that into the power usage. Now you have something called Home Assistant. Yeah. So, but I mean, this was just a Raspberry Pi version 1, and it's still actually running this to this day. So it works. Don't touch it. Yeah, and then of course, I'm a real nerd, so of course I brew my own beer. Unfortunately, you can see later on the dashboard, I don't have anything on tap, so that's why I don't have anything for you. But these were the things that made me think like, okay, I have a lot of like Arduino stuff. I have a lot of like stuff that works in like the same story as you all have. Like I have one app for the LEDs, I have one app for the alarm system. I wanted to connect it all. And then Home Assistant. But it wasn't until I had the first problem, which I could actually solve, where it all clicked. Imagine that I have outdoor lights and the switches, they're up there behind the hot tub, and it was snowing, and I was already in bed, and I got the, oh, honey, you forgot to turn off the lights. I had to get dressed, I had to get out, walk through the snow, turn the lights off, and go back and thought, okay, now I have to fix this. That's where Home Assistant came in. I actually used the Sonos, and they're still under the deck, like since 2017, I think. So I might need to replace those. Still working. So I want to like jump on the points you already said. Like all the things should work all the time. So my rule is always to have things working. So I always bind my Zigbee devices to the bulbs so they work, even though I'm not like Home Assistant can be down, but the lights still work, and it should always work. And this is for the spousal approval factor. I'm always trying to add value. I'm not just trying to do things just because you can't do it. So that is my rule. And this is my setup, and I would just want to run through it. And if anything sparks interest, it's pretty basic, but in the end, I want to show you some like automations and some ideas that I really like. So what do I have? I have like over 100 big devices, 14 Shellys, the Sonos, the cameras, ESP homes, and Sorry, what? I have the son of one. Yeah, son of. Yeah. The good one. Yeah, I remember I saw that was like, buy this, don't buy this. So I can look it up.
Working on the Home Assistant Connect CPT2, which is going to blow the son of out of the water.
Okay.
6 months. Will come this year.
Okay, now set a reminder. Okay, so, but I mean, everything works really well, and I cannot really I try to build it up so I'm like always like having these problems. So I try to build it up like I have this one device and like test it, and I'm really happy with it. Then I put it into like production, if you will.
Oh, last time it was with Bluetooth,
and yeah. They're lovely too, yeah. No, actually, I think I flashed them to Tasmora, and they kind of work. It's like these, like what do you call them? For the blinds. Yeah, works fine. A lot of set options, but it worked in the end. Sorry. Yeah, also that. Yeah. Oh, just a little bit about the host. I just wanted to prove a little point because I started with Docker in 2017. And I don't even remember when I moved it over to the Home Assistant OS running onto Proxmox, because the migration was probably so like easy that I don't even remember it. But I'm still running on the same instance. I never had to like look and pave it, so that's really good. But what also, if not everyone is doing it, I recommend that you, if you're running Proxmox, have it under ZFS, use the automatic snapshots, then you can mess with it at all. And if anything's happened, you just roll back. I know you were implementing the backups, but this is like literally takes seconds. So you can like ruin everything, ZFS roll back, and you're up to speed. It's like back in the day when you were playing games and you could just reload the last good save. So this is my main menu, and pretty basic, but what I try to do is filter all the stuff that it's like what matters, pardon the pun. For me now, for example, I just want to see what floors are active, like the active feeding. I only want to see the TVs that are on. I only want to see the what music is playing. I want to see the alarm. And like these really basic. I have much more, like many more temperature sensors, but these are the bathrooms, and they're all that matters. I have these really quick. You can turn everything off downstairs, upstairs. Here you can see how many lights are on. And this best thing, when the kids are falling asleep, you can press the cozy button and the whole automation goes. So it's always a treat when you can press this. Pretty basic, this is just the lights on the first floor. And on the second floor, I started with a really cool new, like, what do you call them? Like, yeah, pretty cool.
But
so,
no dial cards yet.
Sorry, no.
Dial cards, the dial card. You have just the end of the card.
Yeah, this is a work in progress. I have here are the automations. Sorry.
If you go one dashboard back.
Yeah.
This is your locks are dial card, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your tracks.
Yeah.
Bless you there, right?
Yeah, and I think I have some of the what do you call them again? Mushroom. Oh, thank you. Then yeah, here are automations. I mean, even though they like go on and off automatically, I think it's like pretty nice that if I know that somebody is coming and I want to like disable the doorbell, I can actually go in there and do it. Like it's like a visual indicator of what is happening. Yeah, these are the media devices, and here we have the power, and it's still working from that old Raspberry Pi. It's sent it now instead of reading it from Imon CMS. I just migrated to sending over MQTT, and here you can see like these at a glance power usage and where I need to replace batteries. And here you can see all the like the status of the missing the word for appliance. But here you have some other sensors, and here's the beer I was telling you about. It's like it's 0%, so I have no beer on tap. But the temperature of the fermentation chamber is 3.8, and I mean it's nothing much to say about this. Here you can see I have like 3 main servers running, and you can see like the load of it. You can see if people are watching the Plex server. You can incorporate from the UPS, for example, the power. And yeah, some minor, like it was much easier than I thought making like these just for example, I use a NAS called Unrate, and instead of like trying to make some automation, like plugin for it, you can make a really easy like Python script that just reads it out and throws it into MQTT. It's like a couple of lines. And then I'm really loving the subviews, where you can like click on one camera and you can see them all. This is really interesting. If you have like a group of, these are IKEA Sigbilights, you can control them individually. So you click on the light, double click or hold click. And then, for example, paint you a picture. We're sitting in front of the TV. My wife's like doing some puzzle, and then I can just illuminate the light just above her. Really cool. But you don't need that every day. If you would have all the light bulbs in the house, it would not make any sense. But in this, like as a subview, it's perfect. Now to the point I want to talk to you about. Some of my favorite solutions, both automations and hacked together. I mean, we all have these like really simple automations, which are really easy to set up, really always work because there are only 1 or 2 moving parts. But for a person that does not have Home Assistant, blows their mind. For example, I disable the alarm when nobody's home because the dog hates the alarm, the chime. So you can just disable it when nobody's home. Lighting, really cool plugin. Hopefully it goes into Home Assistant someday. It's like crazy. If you don't know it, it automatically changes the color temperature and brightness of your lights, depending on the time of day. Really cool.
Where did you get this from?
Hacks.
Yeah.
So
really cool.
Hacks is the Home Assistant community store. So we have built into Home Assistant over 2,000 different integrations, but there's a lot more out there. And so to kind of bridge it all into Home Assistant, the Home Assistant community store gives you a single interface with easily install buttons, update buttons, etc. There's a lot more to choose from. The reason why Hacks is not built into Home Assistant, and that's just everything you can install, is that we do a certain level of quality control on the things that are built into Home Assistant. So not everything can just be shipped, hacked. Anyone on the internet can publish a Hacks integration today, right now, even everyone here. We cannot guarantee the quality. So like, if it takes down Home Assistant, it slows down Home Assistant, right? That's something we don't like because we get the blame, never the custom component author. So we do some kind of quality checks. So Hacks is great, lots of cool stuff. If anything goes wrong, disable it.
That's adaptive lighting. It's written by Bas Nijhoff, and he actually does pretty.
He's a very good programmer. Yeah, he's been integrated.
Still training a lot.
Yeah, works well. And it's one of those automations where you don't like, if you accidentally turn it off, like disable it, the whole house is a bit different. It's so strange, and it just like, because it does it like in such small increments, you don't really feel it. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother with all of this, but I mean, this is really like simple automations. For example, to have a turn off everything button. When you're leaving, turn off everything. Speakers, TVs, the lights. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Also, like really fun to use the moisture sensor in the bathroom to like, I have a really big window just outside the bathroom, and you can automatically turn the blinds when somebody's taking a shower. One of those really cool things, but I don't know how functional they are, but I like them. Yeah, and then this actually, like I have like a lot of computer equipment in my garage, and I call it the server room because it's like under a staircase, and I have these big fans, like taking in cold air and blowing hot out. And it was always a bit frustrating being in the room because I have my PC there. Just put a Shelly on the fans because they don't need to be spinning all day. As soon as I go in the room, there's a presence detector, turns off the fans, small things, game changers. Yeah, and then of course, I guess everyone has Christmas mode, and then everyone has guest mode for, yeah, otherwise it would freak out my mother-in-law. this is what I love. I mean, you guys have been talking about it, and I'm not trying to speak of it like it's something I thought of, but like just taking these like really like old parts, new parts, mixing everything together in like a Lego style. You could like reuse your old stuff. You could incorporate it. For example, I had this like built-in doorbell, and it had like a really cool chime that was like actually physically in the wall. So instead of having to rip that out, I could just use my Reolink, ESP home. I can send it to the chime. No worries. I can use the Shelly with the electric strike. It's perfect. So it, for example, for my wife, it looks like a complete solution. She's just like, yeah, unlock the door. Yeah, somebody's calling. But it's like multiple components that all work together. This is actually really cool. Somebody said earlier about the washing machine. This is for the dishwasher. Like, I don't know, 20 bucks. You can measure the electricity and you know exactly because it always behaves in the same way. So you wait for certain triggers, then you get a notification. Really cool. And you can even make like a YAML template so you know what it's doing. If it's in this voltage rate, it's probably like drying. If here it's finished. Yeah. Also just these like really simple reminders. For example, when I leave the house, nobody's home, no guest mode, nothing. It just tells me, you forgot to put on your alarm system. Do you want to do it? Yes. Or put on guest mode. And it tells you like also if you leave, remember to turn on the alarm system, but you forgot like 3 lights. It tells you, do you want to turn them off? Like really simple. You would probably forget it. Turn them off. Because my mother-in-law could actually be in the house and I forgot about it. And the home would like put on the alarm system, turn off all the lights, she would freak out and I would lose a babysitter. So no. Yes, definitely. No, but
I dealt with that problem.
Yeah.
If the motion sensors are moving, the house, don't turn it on. Stop for them.
Yeah, but I use the I have a really old alarm system from Securitas, and I could actually incorporate that into Home Assistant. But the motion controllers, they have like a 60-minute time delay. So like they figure out the presence right away, but there's a lag. They wait until there's been no movement for 60 minutes. But that is actually pretty good because we have this 2-story home, and I don't turn off the lights on, for example, downstairs until there's no motion. So still not like a false positive. So I've never turned off the lights when my wife is like downstairs yet. Oh, this is one of those where it makes me a little bit sweaty, but I like doing stuff like this in Node-RED because this is probably the one I've gone over and like iterated so many times. But this is basically what happens when I come home. Just to paint a picture, when me and the wife, we come home, it checks if we're actually home, not just like nearby. It checks all the sensors. If some sensor is offline or needs a battery, lets me know. It checks if we were coming towards the house together, and if we were not, it lets the other person know, hey, he's home or her, because it doesn't make any sense that we're coming home at the same time, both get notifications, because we obviously know it. Then if the guest mode is on, it turns that off. If the sun is down, it puts on some like basic lights. And if it's really late, then it means I'm coming home really late. It only like puts minimal lights really low, so I don't wake everyone up. Some of you are gonna like bite your finger now, but it actually disarms the alarm system and unlocks the door. So I actually just always walk up to my home. Still hasn't had a false positive there also. I was really paranoid and I probably had the debug settings on for like a year. So this is one of my most favorite automations, but this is one I'm a bit afraid to tell people about, that the house automatically unlocks. So you could theoretically be on my phone and drive home and go, rob everything. GPS, and as a fallback, the Unify. Yeah, and I actually do a double like check. I check, is the GPS accurate? Does it actually have my phone, my home address in like because I had like, no, because it doesn't, the automation doesn't start until I'm at least like 300 meters away from my house. So it only activates when I leave the neighborhood. So it only like unlocks when I come back. It's not a foolproof system, but it works for me.
It's on 300 meters. So you're checking for GPS, and the accuracy of GPS is not good. It can drift.
No, we can go. I don't want to take the like big time, but no. Basically, it only activates the automation if I'm 300 meters away from the house, but I have to be at the house physically to unlock. So this one is pretty fun, and there's probably some companies that have made a product out of it. But when I was sleep training my kids, they were waking up in the middle of the night. I don't know if you know it, but during the winters we have almost 24 hours of darkness, and during the summer we have sun the whole night, so they don't really know what time it is. Can't teach a 3-year-old about the clock. I mean, like efficiency, at least not my kids. So I just took WLED, put it on the bed. Green means day, red means night, orange, okay. So basically, it's like a traffic light. So they wake up in the middle of the night. Oh, there's no light. It must be. I still have to sleep. So as soon as they saw the green light come, they could wake up. It's a really crude way of teaching the children, but it absolutely worked. Then I have a motion tracker in the room, so we could be like watching a movie, and it would pop notifications on the TV based on the room we're in. If we were downstairs, it would send us a message on the phone because we were not in line of sight. And if we were in the hot tub, it would like do a critical notification because then we couldn't hear them. This was one of the biggest, like me selling to my wife that we need home assistant because think of the children. This was fun. This incorporated everything: ESP home, Bluetooth, some outdoor fun. I actually had to replace this one, but this is like a gas sensor, and I have a propane burner in the house, but you never know the percentage of it. But by using this Bluetooth sensor, it was automatically picked up by the ESP sensor, and I can get like a percentage of how much gas I still have in the tank. So really cool. And I was actually so surprised that it actually worked. Yeah, the underfloor heating, back again, all the electricians, I'm so sorry. I bought a $15 ESP32 port off AliExpress, ESP home, couple of lines of code, and it could make the underfloor heating completely working in Home Assistant, because I have these like really cheap Akara temperature sensors in every room. And then I have the underfloor heating in the garage. I could get it into ESP home, and therefore with the generic thermostat, I think it's called, you just say, this is the heat, this is the actuator, and I put it up, I think, June 2023, and I literally have not had a single problem with it, did not have to do any adjustment, it just completely works. The only thing I thought about that I needed like these like stick-beat thermostats, which you could like, actually put in the temperature you want. But I soon realized you don't really change the temperature often. Like you set a set temperature, you're happy with it, unless you're on like vacation, you don't really mess with it, unless in the bathrooms. There we have like these towel drying ovens, which you really have to crank up the heat to get them warm. So I made like a little hidden shortcut. So you go on the wall switch, and if you hold it in, it triggers the lights to blink, and then you know it's on full heat. And you hold it again, different blink, and then you know it's back to normal. Just wanted to show a little bit. It's come straight out of the Stick-B to MQTT, I think. So here's where you hold it in. It gives like a soothing on animation, and then when you hold it again, it tells you with like a really aggressive blink that it's off. So pretty cool. So we still haven't found any need to buy like a manual temperature controller. So this was what I've been doing since 2017. Hope you enjoyed some of it, not too scared. Please tell me afterwards what I've been doing wrong. You can secretly shame me there, but I just wanted to end with Go Team Home Assistant.
This was actually really great. Thank you very much. I think it's hopefully gives you a great introduction of what we are doing. Maybe I can also a little bit add on it. So you're talking about floor heat. So I was always talking about I'm not sure what you have been using. So, and you're always learning from mistakes, right? So I have also a lot of automations, and for example, for the floor heat, I also have the same setup that you have or had actually. The problem that I had where my summer house is, there's a lot of electricity loss. So at some point my server did not go up. So I guess when your server is down, the floor will not work as well, right? Okay. And the problem that I had is always, these devices, they have this default on and off mode, right? So of course you do not think about it unless it comes to a failure. So my floor heat failed, and I had the power off mode off. So the problem was the floor heat was off, and actually the exact same day, a person came into the summer house who was a guest. So he had no clue what to do, and there was no way for me to do anything. So it was first. So basically, the floor heat was not working, and the day after he was just freezing. So he just left, And what I learned from it, basically, okay, make sure you have power on mode, or maybe on critical things to on. And I replaced my thing that I have with a physical button. I'm not sure. Do you have that on your 8 channel, or it was 16 channel relay, right? 16. And do you have a button there, physical button where you can press to put it on and off? Yeah. Yeah. So after that, I actually, I bought a relay board, which had a manual on-off button, which actually I could use for it. Okay. You want to come? So.
It's disconnected because my computer is. Yeah, I can come here again. I mean, or just mingle and talk to each other about if everybody's in the home system, we all have these war stories, right? And because I can go here and talk more about things, but I think it might be nice to just talk to each other, because there's it's cool to know your local home system community and be able to share and figure out how you don't care about your electricity, but you open the windows and stuff.
Before we do that, should we take a group picture?
Good idea. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe there are more people here that want to show what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. We can do it. We can also ask questions. I mean, I think we should maybe have open word now and have it like this. For me personally, I only have 2 questions. For the Icelandic question, for the Icelandic thing, I would really like to understand how much what we actually need to do to make it work, or to make it perfectly, to make it work better, and maybe also a quite inside question is what I would also like to know is, from your experience, is Home Assistant a tool for little cooperated or for little companies? So we have it always in homes, but as soon as I go to a little company, they always have, some corporate solutions that are, expensive like hell. I don't know what they cost. So, and I always think, okay, this could be done with Home Assistant, easy peasy, and costs a fraction of what you're, doing with that. So, but I haven't seen actually, a company which is actually using that. So opportunity, yeah.
Let me answer those 2 questions, and let's make a group photo, and then let's mingle. I think that's so the 2 questions. The one, Icelandic voice, it all relies on this man. We have Mike Hampton's our voice guy. He doesn't speak Icelandic, so he's been working. You guys exchanged some emails. I didn't really understand everything, but I think you had a Caldi model, or there's going to be a Caldi model train. they're looking into it. No timelines, of course. That would mean that the reason why that is important is that you could get a fully local Icelandic voice control with limited number of sentences. But if you want to control the lights, set timers, that will be possible. But yeah, the infrastructure is in place now. I think that's always the most important. Like we know how to, if we would have a model, how it can be fine-tuned, how we can test to make sure that it works. So it's coming. So I stand over here, that's fine. The second question about small businesses, we really don't want to touch it. Like we can do everything better than those corporations do, like the small enterprise automation software. However, once you go into small businesses, there's a whole different set of requirements, right? All of a sudden, you cannot have a certain level of trust of everyone, right? You need rule-based access control. Well, I hate rule-based access control. And the reason is because it complicates everything, right? So it's like every feature needs to be like, who can use this? And you're gonna all this stuff. It's not a lot of fun to develop for, use for, because you have to think about all rule-based access control. So that will be the big thing. The other thing is that in the end, the corporation, they want to pay somebody. They want to pay somebody that is with an SLA. Like if my system is down, if my floor heating in my summer house is down, who is going to go and fix it, right? We cannot run those kind of things. So if there are people that want to do this themselves, do it, right? Like you can install Home Assistant and offer, I know, these kind of things. I was in Denmark. We organized a meetup last summer, and I was talking to somebody who was responsible for the IT at the Salvation Army. At 10 different shops throughout Denmark. They're all running on a single Home Assistant instance. They unlock the door. They announce on the speaker when the store is going to close. If it's sunny, which doesn't happen too often, the door will stay open. If it's cold, the door will actually close automatically when somebody comes in. He went a little bit, he was having the lights, when it was time to close, the lights would let it flash to guide people through the exit. And he had cameras and motion sensors and all that stuff, right? So it is definitely possible, but you need somebody that is passionate and loves that kind of stuff. And in the end, someone that is responsible.
Example we had a few years back, we did an online conference. And we had, no, it was not a conference. We had a brick factory.
The brick factory in Bolivia, running Home Assistant.
Running on Home Assistant.
So.
Well, it was really good.
Yeah. So we're happy in providing tools. We don't want to provide solutions. I think that's the gist. All right, let's make a group photo. Where should we make the group photo? Well, if somebody stands over here and makes a photo like this, and then I'll lay on the table, and then
Let's come here. Right?
We all stand here. Yeah.
With Home Assistant.
No.
Wait a bit.
Okay, who's going to make a photo?
Yeah, someone has a good phone.
Just my phone, of course. We should disable. I mean, if it's gonna.
Disable what? We want to disable?
The projector is not in the camera. Okay, so we're gonna make the group photo over here. So I think if you're over there, move a little bit to the side.
Okay, let's stand over there.
Yeah, I'll just make a photo like this. It's great. So this is good. Okay, if you're on this side, then move a little bit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. Yeah, I will come. No. You'll make the photo? Okay. Good. We have a photographer. We will share the photo. We don't have to do 10 cameras.
Okay. The guy behind the car, that's
On this one.
Okay, now you're the projector.
Yeah.
No, higher angle for mine. No, this is If you take one step to the left.
Yeah.
More.
Mer til venstre.
Beautiful. Ekki ná hinum þaðan líka. Get from the other one from that.
From this.
Yes. The official one.
Oh yeah. I'll put it in the newsletter.
One selfie. He's done also.
And the fourth.
This looks. Everyone's going.
Are you leaving?
Oh, take it.
Still there? Okay. Thank you. Are you guys leaving or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about this kind of things, right? No, I'm very impressed with how much people have showed up on a Monday night. Yeah. We had
Are you what?
Yeah, it's always for us. Pizza.
Það fara í nóta svona.
Þetta ekki aðgengilegt?
Jú, ég skal þetta.
Hver selur þess hérna á Ísland? Hver selur þennan?
Ég held að það selur engan, ég bara veit ekki sko. En hérna við getum alveg náttúrulega spurt þá hvort það vilja bara eða einhver vilja bara panta þetta svona, þá getum við að panta þetta saman sko.
Okay. Er það bara keypt á Amazon eller hvað svoleiðis?
Ég held ekki þetta Amazon, þeir eru með svona einhverja distribúta sko. Við getum alveg að fá líka á heimasíðu þeirra og...
Og flókið lykilorða.
Já. Boxið sjálf.
Já, þessi.
Ég fyrst frá Danmörku. Þeir getur komið í bústað. En síðan náttúrulega þú ættir að spyrja pæ
Já, ég sé alveg það mörg sniðir sko, en hann kannski aðeins og djúpt hérna.
En bara sína þess allt sem hægt. Já. Skilur það betur hvað verður það er sko 99 Já, kemst þetta frá hérna Excuse me. Það sé hann eins og heima ég bara einhverjum tölvum geimsluðinu sem ég kæri homasist alltaf
Can I get a little bit of your attention? So here's another guy that is actually Finnish, and he actually he has Þorsteinn Steini, who was the other guy presenting. He was, I think, more the back end guy, but here we have totally for sure a front end guy, and maybe you can just tell from yourself what you did a little bit. So great to see.
This is basically the floor plan. I use an app called Sweet Home 3D. Through all the walls, I have a 14-year-old girl that decorated all the rooms, so I can never move the furniture around unless I update the images. I can turn lights on and off. This is that 14-year-old. Yeah, exactly. I like the idea with the sleep training lights, so I did put a light strip under her bed so I can turn it on and off. Can go downstairs to the other floor, turn on and off all the lights. My family is probably going wild now because all the lights are blinking. But this is just the base. There are so many things that I want to add to this. This is just the beginning, I believe.
May I ask, how do you make that effect? Like, do you have like a lot of images that are overlapping, or?
Yeah, so each room, so I have a base image that the app allows you to set the clock when you take a screenshot. So the base image is at 8 o'clock in the morning, so a little bit of light. Then I added light bulbs that I turn on, set the clock to midnight, so it's totally dark. So the light bulb is the only light available at that time. So for each room, I just have an image for that lighting, and the rest is a transparent background. So it's, at the moment, there are, 6 different images layered on top of the background.
Do you move the people?
No.
Oh, yeah.
That's when the detection comes.
Yeah.
So here, I guess you have the locks, right?
Yeah. And like he said that he has a presence detector, so when he arrives at home, the doors automatically unlock. I do the same.
So you have presence detector or the motion detectors?
I just use GPS and
Okay.
yeah, for that.
Yeah, I must say we had I had another class the other day, and there was one with dealing with the presence detector from Aquarium. And I was really surprised how accurate these things are.
Yeah.
And he basically had 2 desks, and he made it possible to you know, turn on the light depending on which desk it was. So it was really really accurate. It was really impressive.
How do you solve with sensors?
Now working presence.
Because
I actually saw an article from Philips, I think. They are adding a feature in their phone. If you have, I think, 3 or 4 microscopes in the same room, they can triangulate a figure of motion and presence detection with
Yes.
I tried multiple solutions based. The problem is
I try to make the most of
so you have to spend what can historically and the limit. I had one but you catch it in someone. So this is the limit. Actually, the only solution to catch